Hey everybody, and welcome to Unit 3. This is Nutrition and Weight Management. Hope y'all are doing well. We're on the last unit. We got two more modules to complete. Well, really three, but two more modules to complete. We're almost there. We got a little less than a month left. Hang in there. We're over halfway done. So, in this video, I'll be going over the assignments, and then the video below, I'll talk about the information in the material in the PowerPoint slides. And this is a long module. There's two chapters involved. So there's a lot of information. It'll probably be the longest module that we'll have to complete. So without further ado, let's get started with the first assignment. So you have another forum to complete. You have completed two already. You've got this forum. It's all about your opinion on nutrition. Do you feel as though nutrition is important? Why do we need to worry about what we put into our bodies, what we consume? And do you yourself focus on what you consume, what you eat, what you drink, what type of supplements you consume? And focus especially on why you believe nutrition is or is not important when it comes to exercising and when creating a fitness plan. So just answer those questions in a paragraph of at least 150 words in your initial post. And then you'll respond to two other students' posts with at least 75 words. So just like what you've done before. And yeah, it's all due by this Friday the 3rd. So Friday the 3rd is the due date. Okay. Your next assignment is you're going to document everything that you've consumed for 3 consecutive days. Okay. And this is due on Wednesday the 8th. So next Wednesday the 8th. And you need to include the amount of calories you consume as well. And if you have trouble finding the amount of calories in the dish, you can always Google that dish. If you have frozen, if your mom, for example, if your mom made her famous lasagna, you can include the amount of approximately, it doesn't have to be exactly, but approximately the amount of serving. So if I had about two cups of lasagna that's made with lasagna pasta sheets, you know, tomato sauce. You got all these vegetables in there, so it might be best to try to consume items that you can read the nutrition facts label on the back of the product. You can do that. That's fine. But approximate, and it doesn't have to be exactly the correct amount. But I want you to get an idea. The purpose of this assignment is I want you to get an idea of how many calories you're consuming, because you learn how calories is important when it comes to your nutrition intake. So also beverages too. So if you go to Starbucks every morning and you get a grande frappuccino, how many calories is that going to be compared to if you just consume water? So yeah, so just think about that. And I have an example attached if you download this Word document. This is an example of a student that sent to me. Now, you do not have to include the serving sizes. You do have to include the amount of calories. Okay. So here's an example of what I'm looking for one day. And now, again, you're doing 3 days. So don't wait till the last minute to do this. It's due by Wednesday the 8th. So you have over a week to complete this. And if you want to, you can add pictures to your submission. That's fine. All right. Okay, let's go to the next assignment. And if y'all have any questions about that, let me know. Or any of the assignments, feel free to let me know. All right, this next assignment looks lengthy, but I promise it's not too bad. Um, you're going to first calculate your basal metabolic rate. And what that is, it's based on your age, your gender, your height, your weight. Okay, so all of those factor into your basal metabolic rate. And what that is, what that number is, it's the amount of calories you're burning, you're expending a day without taking into account exercise. So it should be between 1,000 to 2,000 as far as the number that you calculate. If you get 2 million, once you've completed the calculations, then you know something is wrong because you're not burning 2 million calories a day. And so this, I have the formula here. Again, it's based on your gender, men and women. Just enter in these values. Now you have to convert a little bit. You have to convert your weight in pounds to kilograms. So approximately your weight in pounds, if you weigh 200 pounds, divide that number by 2.2, and that's how many kilograms you weigh. So you're going to be inputting the amount of kilograms you weigh into this section right here. And then you have your height in inches. So if you are if you are 72 inches tall, then, or I'm sorry, if you're 6 feet tall, you times 6 by 12, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, then you are 72 inches tall. So you'll multiply 72 inches by 2.54. If you are 5'7", then you are 67. I forgot that number, but that equals that number. So if you're 5'7", you are 67 inches tall. So you'll multiply 67 times 2.54, and you add that to this value. So 10 times your height in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height, your weight in kilograms, sorry, times your height in centimeters, and so on. So make sure you show your work, and you're going to submit that as part of your submission. And then I want you to kind of reflect on what you've calculated. So what is your BMR? Your BMR, just like I mentioned before, it represents the amount of calories you burn based on your height, based on your age, based on your gender, and based on your weight. Okay. So if I calculate my BMR to be 2,000, then I know I should not consume more, or try not to consume more than 2,000 calories a day. Otherwise, over time, I unfortunately will gain weight. And if I'm trying to lose weight, I should consume under that amount, 2,000 calories. Now, again, this does not take into account exercise. So exercise, you'll obviously be burning more calories, and you can consume more food, more calories. But answer these questions. What is your calculated BMR, and what does that number represent? Okay, it represents the amount of calories that I burn a day without taking into account exercise. Were you surprised by your BMR? Why not? What factors influence your BMR? Again, your age, your gender, your sex, your height, your weight. How does your BMR differ from the total calories you need in a typical day? It's really the same, but it's also, again, BMR doesn't take into account exercise. Do you consume close to this amount in a typical day? That's really what I'm looking for. So think about that. Do you consume, this might be an eye opener saying, oh, I really need to cut back on the amount of food and the amount of beverages or sweets I consume. Okay, so just answer these questions in a paragraph of at least 200 words. So you're submitting a sheet, uh, a Word document page with your BMR calculations, and then under it you'll have your 200 word paragraph. So that's all due by Thursday the 9th. Okay. All right, that's all for that assignment. And then Friday the 10th, simple assignment in this chapter, or chapters, because we're talking about nutrition and weight management. For weight management, towards the end of the PowerPoint slides, the reading, it talks about 3 popular diets. You've got the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, and the low carb diet. And in the next video, I'll talk about those diets individually. But for this assignment, specifically, which of those 3 diets do you think is more beneficial? Would you follow any of these diets? Why or why not? Okay, and you feel free to use some research outside of the chapter reading and PowerPoint slides to support your decision. So if you feel like you could follow the low carb diet better than the other ones, then why? Why is that? Okay, so let's do it by Friday 10th by 11:09, and this needs 150 words. Okay. All right, y'all. That's everything for this assignment. For this assignment and this video. So, the next video below this, I will talk about the PowerPoint slides and more in depth of the material. All right, if y'all have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help about these assignments. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video.